Good morning. How are you this morning, Carmel?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. And thank you for coming on the show this morning. Let's start with the adopted bill.
Mm.
I was reading the bill, earlier this week. It's not for all the countries, but some countries. And
Yes.
I'm sure it's including Samoa. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So this week, the government in urgency introduced and passed in its whole entirety
Right.
an interim bill. So it's comes into effect immediately, and it's about international adoption. And so basically recognizing that there are no safeguards for some of the children that come to New Zealand if they don't come through countries that have signed up to the Hague Convention and a range of other things. And so basically they've put an immediate pause on all adoptions, except for those that were underway,
Yeah.
but any new adoptions. And it's a bill that has a time period up until July 2027,
Right.
which gives the government some time to put something more permanent in place. But the country that is most affected, and it's important that our people know this, is Samoa. Out of the 1,000 adoptions that happened in the last year, over 700 of them were from Samoa. And so I think that the reasons for putting this in place
Yeah.
are the right reasons, and every political party voted for this. But our people do need to know that this has
Yes.
been put in
Yeah.
place, and the reasons why too, Tavo.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I wonder what sort of message that will give to our Samoan people, because some people adopted children from Samoa for a better future, which is good on them.
Yes.
But they are affected by some people who adopted children from Samoa and not looking after them in New Zealand.
Well, that's right. And I think the point that every political party made was that the vast majority of children who have been adopted
Yeah.
under the law as it stood were adopted into good homes, and that people had the right intentions and were doing well and loving by those kids and loving those children and
Yes.
looking after them. But still, there were too many instances of abuse,
Yeah.
exploitation. In some instances, there were stories that we've all seen
Yeah.
around slavery
Yes. Yeah.
and servitude. And so it was necessary.
Yeah.
And it came in urgency. We all interrogated it, but the Greens, Te Pāti Māori and Labour did support it as
Right.
well. But our community needs to know that this has now been put in place. Samoa is now excluded.
Yeah.
There are a list of countries that are exempt that can continue along their way, including Tonga,
Yeah.
who may have not signed up to the Hague Convention, but they do have an agreement with New Zealand
Right.
around child protection. And New Zealand apparently has been talking to the Samoan government for quite some time about this, trying to get something in place, but it seems that hasn't happened. And so we're in this situation where Samoa is one of the countries that there's basically a blanket stop
Yes.
until there's better legislation put in place in New Zealand.
Okay, thank you, Carmel. Let me ask you about the child and youth crime. Good stats I was reading through is that it's coming down. And I think one of your colleagues was talking about we should give credit to Labour Party because this is something that you started.
Yeah, and actually Chippy and I, so Chris Hipkins and I, were intimately involved in the establishment of the program that addressed this. The government call it fast track now, but we had it as circuit breaker. When the ram raids during that kind of COVID period started happening and the youth crime started to spike, the immediate thing that we did was seek to find out who these young people were.
Yeah.
It was a very small list of young people. It was the same ones doing it, under 100 kids. But then we also got a whole lot of data on them. We found out that many of them had a parent or family member that was in jail. The vast majority of them had family harm call-outs. Many of them were truant. They were in transient housing situations. And then from there, so what we did was we looked at the effective programs, and then we put more money into them, and we put full wraparound support in place for these kids. Now, the results are showing, and we saw it when we were in government, the recidivism came down. They were not reoffending. And now we're seeing the results in terms of this drop in youth crime and recidivism and ram raids.
Yeah.
And so it really comes down to that full wraparound support that we put in place when we were in there. The minister herself has acknowledged that it's effective and it's successful. What's not successful and effective are her boot camps. And so the stuff that has worked is what Labor did. The stuff that's not working is the stuff that this government have put in place.
Carmel, I'm aware that the secondary school teachers are on strike, which really affect our students, Samoa and the Pacific Island students. What would Labor do just to stop these strikes? Would you help the teachers, give them what they're asking for?
Yeah, so it's not just about the pay for the teachers.
Yeah.
The teachers were really clear from the start.
Right.
Yes, they needed their pay looked at, but also for secondary school teachers, they wanted pastoral care funding. And that is an acknowledgement of the really complex needs that the young people that they're working with face. The pastoral care funding would give them more release time to free them up from the classroom, which would mean that there'd be funding in place to provide the cover so that they could have non-contact or non-teaching time so that they could deal with all the other things that they need to deal with. I think that we all know, more of our kids coming through our schools now have very complex needs, whether it be disability related, whether it be mental health needs, whether it be social needs because of their home circumstances.
Yeah.
And that is actually leading to a whole lot more pressure on their secondary school teachers. Now, the ask that they put in their bargaining around the pastoral care funding was absolutely ignored. And so this is why they're saying, come on, we need this. It's not just about us and our pay. It's about the well-being of our students and our ability to be able to attend to their needs.
Let me ask you, Carmel, Auckland's housing crisis continues to impact families. What specific policies are you pushing to improve housing affordability and reduce homelessness?
Well, keep in mind, Tawai, that we had built more state houses than any other government going back decades. And now what's happened is that whole build is paused or stopped or has been cancelled in some instances by this government. And so we would get back on that track of making sure that we were continuing to build those houses. The other thing that's happened is that across the kind of construction infrastructure sector, a whole lot of projects when this government came into government were cancelled. And so that has meant that not only have we got cancelled construction, building, infrastructure projects, but we've got a whole lot of people that don't have work. And so we've got 18,000 fewer jobs in that industry. We've got thousands more New Zealanders now travelling overseas to find work. And this is a result of the government's deliberate decision to stop that building and construction and those infrastructure projects. And so we need to get that back on track. This government talks about growth. It's not growing. We're going backwards.
One of the issues we're facing for people here in Auckland, Carmel, is public transport. Public transport remains a major concern for Aucklanders. What improvements or investments are you advocating for?
Well, we'll work closely with Auckland Council. Interestingly, this week there has been a bill in the House around taking the Auckland Transport Council-controlled organisation, because it's been so independent as a result of the National Party supersidi legislation back in 2009, taking that and giving the power back to council so that they have power and control over what happens with Auckland Council, because they haven't had that. It's the only council in the country that hasn't had that. We were supportive of it. The government was singing their own praises. We had to remind them that the reason that it was so anti-democratic and corporatised was because of their supersidi legislation in 2009. So we absolutely support that. But keeping in mind, Tawai, we had made public transport when we were in government free for children. We'd made it half price for students. And then as soon as this government came in, they cancelled all of that and then started charging families again for the price of that public transport. So I think we've got the track record to show that we support Auckland Transport and also that we support access to public transport.
Okay. My last question is, Honourable Carmel. We keep reminding people to make sure they vote for the local elections.
Yes.
What role do local community organisations play in shaping your approach to Auckland's challenges?
Oh, look, our Labour and progressive councillors, those that are running on Labour tickets, and the local boards have a close relationship with us. And so for me in West Auckland, I work closely with the Labour elected reps on the Faux local board, Henderson Massey, Waitaki Rangers local board, and then have had a really close working relationship with our Faux and Henderson Massey elected reps. They're our eyes and ears on the ground. They are our voice at council, and they have a lot of influence. And so I do, alongside you, just really encourage everyone to get out and tick those boxes. Make sure you put it in the post box, and just have a say, because in so many ways, those that are on council have a very big impact on our lives.
Right. Okay. Honourable Carmel Sepuloni, Whawhati Te Lawa, thank you so much for your time. But really also,
whāsui fua.
Whāsui fua. O le whonga i le sui te tai o le Labour Party, Honourable Carmel Sepuloni.